Yo, what's good guys? In this video, we are going to do the long-awaited follow-up video. This will be building a mean stack application with Angular 2, MongoDB, and Mongoose Express.js, and of course Node.js as our server-side framework. So let's go ahead and get started. Just to go over a few of the tools we're going to be using. We're going to be using Angular 2. We're going to be using Express.js, Mongoose as our object document mapper, Node.js obviously, which Express sits on top of. We're going to be using Visual Studio Code because it has very good TypeScript tooling, and we're going to run this locally on localhost. So I'm going to open up my terminal and we're going to get this show on the road. So okay, let me just go into my desktop and I'm going to make a directory called Angular human. So we're just going to be able to perform full CRUD operations and build out some humans. It's kind of weird, but whatever. And so we'll cd into there, Angular human. And I'm going to open this up with Visual Studio Code. So let this open up right here, Angular human. Let me close that off. And first thing we're going to do, we're going to build out server.js. And then I'm going to create a package.json, create a client folder. And so let's start with our server here. So let me sort of maximize this. And I'm going to open up this terminal down here, integrated terminal. And okay, so we want to npm install Express, Mongoose, body parser, and EJS, and we're going to save all of those. What is it? Oh, right, we gotta, sorry, what do we need to do? We need to remove npm debug, remove npm debug log. Okay, cool. So let's do npm init. And let's initialize our package.json, Angular human, version 1.0, it'll be server.js. Cool, so we have our package.json in here. That's awesome. Next up, guys, we want to actually install some packages. So we're going to do npm install Express, Mongoose, body parser, EJS, and path -- save. Let's let these run and install in our package.json. So it'll take a little bit of time. We're setting up our server side. Okay, awesome. So we have our dependencies in here. So let's go ahead and build out our server. So I'm going to do, hold on, make sure I can, okay. So we're going to do var express equals require express. Let me just change the theme on here actually. I'm going to use, okay, it's a little bit easier. Require body parser. Require the path. I'm going to require Morgan, or I guess, do we install Morgan? Let me install Morgan real quick for some logging. Quick, so var Morgan equals require Morgan. Okay, var path equals require path. Okay, and let's sort of set up some middleware. So we're going to do var app is equal to a new instance of Express. We're going to do app.use Morgan in development mode. Okay, we are also going to do app.use body parser.json, and we're going to do app.use body parser.url encoded. Say extended true because we don't want data coming. Or I guess, yeah, we are going to want data coming from the URL at some point. What the heck did I just do? URL encoded. Hold on. App.use body parser.url encoded extended is true. Very cool. All right. Why is that complaining? I'm not really understanding. All right, cool. All right, so next up, we want to grab a port. So I'm gonna set that equal to a constant. I'm gonna say port is equal to 3000, or let's actually make it 8000, or process.environment.port, and what is it gonna tell me? It doesn't like that, huh? JS hint, missing something on. It actually isn't, but yeah. All right, I'm just gonna keep it var because I don't want to deal with the tooling right now. Next thing we need to do, make a DB connection, and this is going to be equal to MongoDB localhost, and it's going to be Angular human. And we also need mongoose. We're going to say var mongoose equals require mongoose. And let's go ahead and fire up our app. We'll fire up our instance. We're going to do mongoose.connect DB. Second parameter will be the error. So we're going to say if there's an error, we'll just return with the error. Else, we say console.log successfully connected to plus DB. All right, cool. Next up, guys, what we want to do is we're gonna set our view engine. So first, though, we're gonna set our app.setViews. This is going to be equal to dir name plus equal to client views. So let's go ahead and create this view folder. A lot of this is there's actually another video on YouTube with the Angular, or with full mean stack Angular 2, and that helped me out build this. So I wanted to walk you guys through how I did it. Okay, so let's make a folder called views in here, and that'll be good for now. We also set our view engine, so say set view engine, and we want to make this EJS. And finally, what we can do now is we can do app.use express.static dir name plus equal to the client. And what is it telling me? It's all static. Yeah, I think that's fine. All right. All right, what do we need next? All right. Now we want to, I don't know if we'll need path. First, let's do app.listen and put it on the port. We'll say console.log listening on port plus port, and let's get that up and running. And then finally, we're going to create a folder called routes. Inside here, we're going to put two routers. So we're going to do index.js, and we also want an API router JS. So our API router is just going to be var router or var express equals require express, and then we want var router equals express dot router, and then all we want to do is router.get the root function request and a response, and we're going to response.render index.html, which will serve up the client-side Angular. Finally, we need to export our router, so we'll do module.exports equals router, and this is going to go in index. We'll build out the API router real quick, but it's not going to have this route. But so in here we'll do app.use to the root. We want to use the main router, and then we'll do app.use to /API. We're going to do API router. So let's import these. We're going to say var main router equals require routes index.js, index, and then we'll say var API router equals require routes API. All right, so I think that's good. Let me see, what else do we need to do? Inside of our client, we need to create this index file, index.html. I'm just going to put hello from index on here right now. And I'm going to run this real quick. So we're going to run node mon server.js and see what error I'm getting. Can't find module routes. Okay, let me see. Alright, let me try this one more time. Alright, it's working. It's on 8,000. Let me try and run this. Cannot find module HTML. Okay, so we need to do one more thing. We need to, let me think. We need to do use express.static or path.join. And this is going to be dir name client. Let me just make sure. Requires middle fare. Alright, so at this point, there's one line I'm not entirely sure of, so I'm going to go ahead and grab this off my GitHub because I forked someone else's repo. So I'm just going to look at this real quick. This is a lot harder than MeanStack 1 because you're not actually, so whoever forked this from the guy who made it on YouTube, thank you. What's the line I'm missing? Path.join, dir name, views. Views. And then what I also need is this right here. That's that line. Path.join. .use. Express.static. Oh, that's what it is. So it's express.static. And then it's path.join directory name client. Alright, and then we need this line, app.engine.html, and then render file, which will take care of the rendering for us. Okay, cool. So let me go back and start this up. Cannot fail to look up Angular human views. Okay, so human client views. Client views. Oh, right. It's not actually. Hold on. This is looking up the client and let me grab this real quick. EJS, views, view engine, EJS, index. Let me go to the router real quick. .get. Okay, and then where's index? Views, index.html. Ah, right. Okay, that's what I did wrong. So this actually needs to go in views. So let me put that in there. Move. And so we'll just say hello from index. So let me try and run this one more time. Okay, hello from index. So we're getting on there. Awesome. So now I'm going to go back to Angular and we're going to grab a few things. So we're going to click get started. And yeah, we need to grab a few of these. I know it seems like I'm copying and pasting, which I am. But again, a lot of this is pretty hardcore stuff. Like if you can do this from scratch, you're pretty freaking smart, or you have a really good memory. So we need to create this package.json inside of our client, which is going to hold all of the dependencies from Angular, and it's also going to have a few scripts written out for us, which is going to run the TypeScript compiler, and in watch mode, it's also going to run a light server, which is going to reload with requests. It's kind of weird. You'll see at the end, we actually have 3 servers running. One for MonGod, one for Angular, and one for Express. And then, here we have RxJS for observables and dealing with data streams, System.js for loading our modules, Zone.js for detection change in older browsers, and of course TypeScript, light server, etc. So let's go ahead and create our package.json inside of here. So say package.json, and we're going to paste all that in there. We're just going to say Angular human. Okay. Angular human. We also need a tsconfig.json. Basically what this is doing, it's a TypeScript sort of configuration object, which is telling the TypeScript compiler that we want to compile down to ES5, so just regular JavaScript, and we want to compile it using the common.js. You can change like source mount to false. There's a lot of other options, but we're going to keep it the way it is. So let's create that. Let's create tsconfig.json. Let's paste that in there. And we also need the systemjs.config.js. And what this is doing is it's mapping these dependencies to where they are in our node modules. And it's also telling Angular where our application sits. So we might have to change the folder structure real quick. And it's loading arcs.js, etc. Yeah. So let's go ahead and run that, or build that systemjs.config systemjs.config.js, and let's paste that in there. Okay, cool. So we got all that working. Let's go ahead and run npm install actually in there. So I'm gonna shut down our server real quick, and let me list out. Let's go into client, and let's go into, or actually let's run npm install -- save. This should install all the dependencies of Angular 2 from the registry. Let's make sure that's up and running. Okay. Alright, so yeah, it's getting a lot of stuff to put in our package.json, which is pretty cool. It's definitely a lot easier to do this in Visual Studio Code, to be honest, than if you were to do this in Sublime. You'll see once we get into the TypeScript. Let me make sure I have the TypeScript. Angular 2, snippets, JavaScript, Angular 2 TypeScripts. Let me update that. Okay, cool. Just making sure update all this stuff. Alright, so we're almost done. Come on, let's go. Alright, cool. So, got everything in our client package.json, and now the next thing we need to do in here is make a directory called app. So we're going to go ahead and do that inside of client. Let's go ahead and make this directory called app. And we need to create a app module, which is going to start bootstrapping our application. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to call it app.module.typescript. And let me just look at this real quick. So we're going to import ng module, which is like the app module in Angular 1. And this is going to be from Angular, let me make sure I'm right, core. Okay, and then we want browser module from Angular platform browser. So we want browser module from Angular browser module. I did that wrong. Platform browser, sorry. So because we're running a web application, that's why we need our platform as the browser. And so we're going to create this ng module, which just imports it first. So we're going to say ng module, and we're going to say the imports. We want to import browser module, and then finally we want to export this class app module. So we've decorated it. All right. Next thing up, we want to create app component. Okay, so this is what is going to be our first component. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to say app.component.typescript. So we're going to import component from Angular core. We're going to decorate our component. So we're going to say selector. It's just going to be app. The template is going to be h1 hello from Angular 2. All right. And then finally, let's export this class app component. Awesome. So that's all we need to do there. And then finally, we're going to create an app module TS where we're going to actually bootstrap our application. Or sorry, we're going to go back to our app module and start bring in this app component, because that's the one we want to use. So we're going to bring in app component from app.component, and then we also need to declare this as a declaration of a module we're going to use, app component, and we need to say bootstrap, and we want to start up. What did I do wrong there? Declarations. Okay, bootstrap app component. Awesome. So that's all we need from that. And then let's create our main.ts file, which is actually going to be the entry point of our application. So we want to import, make sure I got this right, platform browser dynamic, which is involved in the bootstrapping, from Angular platform browser dynamic. Did I get that right? Yeah. All right, we also want to import our app module we just made, app module from app.module. We want to create a variable called platform and set that equal to platform browser dynamic, the function, and then we're going to say platform dot bootstrap module, and that module we want to bootstrap is our app module. Okay, cool. Let me make sure I did that correctly. All right, cool. And now what we need to do, again, I'm going to do some copy and paste here. We're going to copy this into our index.html. So let's go in here, change this out. What this is doing is we're bringing in, I'm going to get rid of that styles. We're loading in the polyfills for older browsers, so the shim and the zone for change detection, and sort of bringing our ES6 down to ES5 if that's necessary, and our system.js folder. Finally, we're using system.js to import the app, which is again mapped to main in our app folder. And then we're going to load our app, and it's not called my app, it's called app. So I think we need to do, I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to go ahead and grab bootstrapcdn.com to give it some more styling so it looks kind of nice. And so let me load that real quick in here. Just load it up at the top maybe. All right, and I'm gonna give this a class of container and text center. So now what we need to do, guys, is we're gonna run npm start. I think I might have done something wrong. I guess we'll find out. There's a lot of setup. It's quite intensive. So yeah, it's not getting, because we're not actually routing it through there, but let me open up another terminal. And let's go, now we got to start Express. Okay, so starting the server, it's listening on 8,000. So let's refresh this, guys. So it's loading hello from Angular 2. Awesome. So our application is indeed working. And you can sort of see if we switch back here, if we, right, so it'll detect if we make a change. So like if we do app.component.ts, hello from Angular 2, yo, then it's going to detect this change. It's going to compile it into JavaScript. If I refresh this, hello from Angular 2, yo. All right, cool. So we built our main component. We've bootstrapped it. It's up and running. Now we want to nest a component inside of it. So I'm going to just create it in this folder right here. It's just going to be called human.component.ts. So again, going through the steps, we're going to import component from Angular core. We're going to decorate our component with the metadata, and we're going to say selector is human, and I'm going to give it a module ID, module.id, which will allow us to reference it as a template URL. Okay, and I'm just going to say human.html, and then finally I'm going to export this class of human component, and this is just going to have a name of a string on here, and it's going to have a constructor, and when it gets initialized, we're just going to say this dot name equals CRUD operations mean stack, or let's just call it create a human with Angular 2. So that's good. Now we need to go back to app module, and we need to declare it under declarations. So we're going to say import human component from human.component, and I'm going to run this. So I'm going to say human component, and then let me go into app component, and we're going to put inside of here human. So let's let this load. Let me refresh this. Okay, it's loading. What error are we getting? Let's check this out. Let's do some debugging. Oh, it does not have human.html. Okay, so let's build that out real quick. Again, I'm not doing the best like file structure, but it's okay. Just get this a div container, and we'll bind name to it. So let's run this again. Hello, okay, create a human with Angular 2. We indeed have the nesting of our components. At this point, we have our app, and we have our human component inside of it with the binding of the name that was given with the constructor upon class creation. So, got most of the dirty work out of the way. We need to do a few more things. We need to import HTTP module to use the HTTP service from Angular HTTP. We also need to import the forms module to work with ng module or ng model. So we're going to import that. Okay, so let's import these. So we're going to say HTTP module and forms module. Okay, that's good. I'm going to create a service real quick in here. So I'm just call it app.service.ts. We're not going to do anything yet, but I'm just going to import so we don't forget injectable that will allow us to inject the service as a dependency into another component that we create. So I'm going to say from Angular core. All right, and so that's good to go. Now let's go back to our human.html, and we're going to say we're going to just create very raw. I'm going to create a input, and actually I don't like the way that they're doing it like that. Input type equals text. Name is going to be equal to name, and we're going to give it ng model. We're going to set that equal to name. Right. Close that off. I'm just going to say give it HR and h3. Enter a name. h3. Again, I'm not a sole front-end developer. I know I could be doing this better. I'm going for functionality right now. And enter an age. And let's do, let me just copy this actually. All right, name equals age, ng model equals age. Input type is number. Let me see how this looks at this point. Probably pretty bad, but enter name, that's not too bad, I guess. Enter an age, where did it enter a name? Why did it not get compiled in time? Enter an age. Okay, why is it not showing up? Hold on 1 second. Enter a name. Let me restart my server. Sometimes it knocks it out. Enter a name. Enter a name. That's kind of weird. Let me see. App.human.html. Oh, right. So that's what we need. That's what's wrong. Let me bring this back. Enter a name. Okay, yeah, so we actually need to not bind that. So I'm going to get rid of this. In my human component, I have this name binding. So I'm gonna get rid of this only constructor. We're gonna have age is equal to number. These are gonna be our ng models, like our view model almost. Let's make sure this works. Why is it complaining? Why is it not liking that? Human.html. Oh, it doesn't like that binding, huh? Alright, cool. So we have that, enter name, enter an age. So let's go back here and create this button and wire up a click event. And so on click, we just want to do add human, and this is how I'm going to wire it up. I'll show you guys. So in this human component, I'll create this method called add human, and we're going to create a human object right here. We're going to say name is equal to name, age is equal to age. Or sorry, let me do it like this. Age is equal to this dot name, this dot age, and we'll just console.log the human. So let me try and submit this, and we'll say add a human. And let's run this one more time. Let's look at this in our developer tools. Make sure we're getting some data back that we expect. So bring this off to the side. So enter name Theo, enter an age 23. We're going to click add a human. We're getting an object back with a name of Theo and an age of 23. Awesome. I know my styling is pretty freaking sweet, but that's okay. And let me get that a little bit cleaner. Okay, cool. Maybe just one more line break. All right. Cool. All right. We're not going to be doing a whole lot of validation in this, to be honest. Again, this is just full functionality. So we need to delegate all of these calls to a service. So I built this. So we're going to say @injectable, and what we're going to do here, we're going to export a class called human service, and this is all this is going to have on it is it's going to make some HTTP calls. So we need to import HTTP and headers from Angular HTTP. Okay, so what we're going to do here, we're going to say add human, and this is going to take in a human. That sounds kind of weird. And all that's going to happen right here, we're just going to console log the human for now. So back here in human component, this is going to, first we need to actually import this service. So I'm going to do this by saying providers, which is just a service. Say human service. So obviously we need to inject this. So we say human service from what is it? App.service. So that's good to go. The way we inject this is upon constructor. So we're going to say private human service is equal to an instance of the human service. Awesome. And so now we have access to this. So we can do human service. What the heck? Hold on. Human service. Or wait, this dot human service dot add human, and we're just gonna say add human, or is equal dot human. So let me see what happens now when we do this. Let's sort of look at this. Why is it failing on me? What's the error? Make sure. Okay, cool. So let's see what this gives us real quick. So say Theo and 23 add human. So it's getting it, it's picking it up in there, and add human service, add human. So let's go back to our service and add human. Const.log object Theo 23. Console log in human service. And human service. So let's try this one more time. refresh this. Theo23. Okay, so we got that. In human service. Okay, cool. So it's gonna log it 2 times. What we need to do now is we're gonna return this .http.post, and we're gonna post to our route /API/human. We also need the first though, we need to set up our headers. So I'm going to do var headers is equal to a new header, and we need to headers.append a few things. So we need to append content type, and we need to change this to application JSON so that the body parser can parse this data. So we're going to append API human. We're going to pass it. We're going to pass it to human, and we're going to pass it the headers as headers. And after that, we're going to map. Let me see. I need to do one more thing. Import RxJS operators. Add map. What is this saying? Property does not exist on type human service. Hold on. So I think I messed up something. Human service. Let me look at my GitHub real quick. Let me go back here. Just real quick. Let's check this out. Let's see where I'm going wrong. Go to app. Services, test service, so it's importing HTTP. Oh, we got to inject an instance of that into our service. I thought I did do that. No, I guess I didn't. Okay, so let me inject that, and then we're gonna RxJS add operators map, and just on stringify. Okay, cool. So let me go back real quick. And we need to inject this into our service. So we're going to do constructor, and then we're going to say private HTTP, and so that'll clear that up. And we're going to map the response to response.json to give us back some JSON. And then what is it saying? Property map does not exist on. Okay, that's frustrating. RxJS add operator. Okay, cool. There we go. So we got that. Now we need to actually come back into our server-side code, and in this API we need to set up a route. So we're going to do router.post/API or /human. It's going to take in a function which takes in a request and a response. And we're going to say first we need to actually create a model. One more thing that we need to do. So let me do that. So I'm going to close this real quick, and let's create a folder called models. Inside of here, I'm going to create a new file called model.js. I'm going to say var mongoose is require mongoose, and then I'm going to say var schema equals mongoose.schema. I'm going to create a new schema called human schema is equal to a new schema. We're going to pass it a few things. It's just going to have a name of type string, and it's going to have an age of type number. Once we have that, we're going to create a variable called model, and we're going to store this schema in here. So we're going to say human, and we're going to pass it the schema, and then finally we're going to module.export schema, so it's accessible to any other area of our application. So once we have that, guys, let's go back to our API and bring in this model. So let's require it from models/model.js. Let's make sure I'm not getting any errors here. Okay, cool. So when we post, we're going to say var human is equal to a new model, and we're going to pass in the request.body. We're going to do human.save function, and this is going to, in the style of node, give us back either an error or an instance. We're going to say resource in this case, because that's what we're creating. We're going to say if there's an error, then we want to respond with the error. We're going to send a status of like maybe 501 internal server error. Otherwise, we're going to respond with some JSON, and we're going to respond with the resource and a status code of 201 for a successful post. Okay, so that's good to go. And let's set up one more route just to make sure we're actually getting data in the database. So it's going to be route.get/human. This is going to be a function which takes in a request and a response. And what we're going to do is we're going to say model.find. It's going to be all as the predicate, function, error, and the resources. Say if there's an error, then we want to respond with, come on, Visual Studio Code, response.send error.status 404. Otherwise, we want to show them at this API endpoint the resources. Come on, I don't know why it's tripping out on me. And we want to give it a status of 200. All right, close that off right there. So let's go ahead and try this out. I'm going to need to actually open up, let's see, I need to open up a connection to Mongod. All right, it looks like it's already running, so let me try and restart my server here. Starting listening on port 8001. Let me do this real quick. Sudo Mongod. Make sure this works. Okay, cool. Run this one more time. Starting. All right, it's connected to our database. So let me go back now to the app, and let's go back to our service. So it should work. Should post it. We need to do one more thing. We need to do JSON. We need to do JSON stringify to make sure this is actually like valid JSON or human. So that's our add human. Let me come back here in human component. Okay, so add human, and then what we can do is we can actually subscribe to this. And what that lets us do is sort of see the data as it comes back, and we can just console.log the data and sort of see what we're getting. Our success. Come on. This is just a stream, and every time we're listening to it, we can see the data. Jeez. Okay, so it's good to go. Let me run this now. Let me open this actually up. Hopefully there's no errors. So let me open up my developer tools and let's make sure we don't have any errors. Okay, cool. So we're going to enter name, Theo, and an age of 23. We're going to add our human. Success. We have that object. Let's actually look at our API /human. So we have created a resource. Awesome. So that works. Let me check it out though for sure with Mongo. I'm going to show DBs in here, and I'm going to use Angular human just to make sure. I'm going to do db.humans.find, db.humans.count, db.humans.count 0. Show collections. That's, I called it human. db.human.count. I don't know why I called it human. That's kind of strange, but maybe I named it like, no, I don't think I did. That's really weird. So we have one object in there. Pretty cool. Let's actually go back now, and we need to, now that we're actually getting some resources, we need to actually make them show up. So I'm going to create a variable here called humans, which is going to be an array of type any, just because I don't want to really create an interface right now, but we could do that. And I'm going to say this users is equal to human service dot get humans. Make sure that's how it's done in here real quick. Get task, HTTP map, task service. No, we don't want that. Let me see real quick. Component, task component. So this dot get task. So task equals task. Alright, cool. We'll do it like that in a second. So I need to go here in my service, if I can find it, and on this right here, we need to make a method called get humans, and all this is going to do, this is going to be a get request. So we're going to do return this.http.get/API/human, and make sure that's all I need to do. Service, task service, get task. Okay, and then we can map onto it. So we can map, and then we'll map back the response. We'll just change it to response.json. And so it'll be get humans. So let's come back here into human component, get humans, and we'll subscribe to that. And this will take in a response. And what we can do with that response is we can say this dot humans equals response. All right. So that's cool. Let's actually come over to human.html. We'll say div.humans. We'll do a li. We'll do a ng4. Let human of humans. And we'll say human.name. Human.age. So let me see. There's a lot going on. Let me see if I didn't mess this up. Let me refresh this. Okay, we're getting our human back. Pretty cool. That's awesome. Let me try and add another one. So James N25. Let's add our human. Looks like it added it. Let's refresh this. We're getting it back. We don't have that single page application feel yet. We could push onto an array and just give off the impression that we are. So like we could do this, right? We could add a human. And what we could do here is scribe data. Once we get that back, we could just say this dot humans dot push data, something like that. So we could give off that appearance. So let's try that. Didn't like that. Dot humans dot push. Actually, yeah, we could do this dot humans dot push human. We could do that. Probably shouldn't have a problem with that. Let me see. No, doesn't like that. Module.js. Let me see. What the heck? Why did it crash? Let me see. Let me try and run this one more time. I don't know why it just crashed on me. Okay. So let me try that one more time. Subscribing to the data, and this dot humans dot push human. I don't know if that's what's causing it to crash. Okay, so let's try it. So say Rick26. Okay, so it pushes it on, and then if we refresh this, and yeah, so that can be okay, I guess. So we added our humans. Let's learn how to delete a human, and then we're just gonna view a human. So okay, so what we need to do now, in our human.html, and we're just gonna say we're gonna create a href. We're just gonna say view human. Let's see how I want to do this. Let's implement delete first. Okay, so how we can do this is we can create a little href here. It says delete, and it's going to say slash, actually it's going to be button. It's going to have a click event. It's going to be delete human, and we're just going to say remove human, and we're going to pass in the human.id. So let me go back here into human component, and we're going to do remove human. Just going to take in an ID, and we're just going to console.log this ID. So let me make sure that's right. Remove human ID. So let's see. Let me refresh this. Okay, so delete human. Let me click on this button. So for Rick, so we're getting Rick's ID. We're getting different IDs each time. Very cool. So simple enough. We're going to remove it. What we're going to do now is we're going to do this human service remove human. We're going to pass in the ID. Then we're going to subscribe to the data that comes back, and we're just going to console.log success deleting plus data, and we got to obviously implement this method in our service. So we'll do remove human. It's going to take in an ID, and we're going to do return this.http.delete, and it's going to be slash API slash humans, and we're going to pass it along the ID. Awesome. And let's see, what else do we need? Obviously, yeah, I guess we could also map it. .map response.json. So we need to create that method in our API. So let's create router.delete to /human function request and the response. And what does it say? Why does it not like that? Oh, yeah, it doesn't understand. Let's just log out the body. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to console.log request.body. So it's called, get rid of these, Dex.js model. We got human component, remove human. So let me try this out. So let's try and delete human, and what are we getting? Okay, so what's happening is, let's see if we can figure this out together. Let's go into our API, delete human component, move human. In our service, something's going wrong here. Humans plus ID. I think that might be it. Let me try this out. Delete human. Alright, let me look at this real quick. Delete API task plus ID. Yeah, we're mapping it with the ID, and then inside of our service API task.map component. Let me see how it's done. Delete task ID. Okay. And then how is it picked up in the API? Let me see. So let me look at routes and tasks. The task ID. Okay, so it's picked up in our API as delete /human/ID console.log request.params.id. Okay, let me try this out. Sort of figure out why the heck we're getting some errors from this crap. So Rick, delete. Okay, so it's getting closer. Let me see. So /API/humans. API/humans. All right, let's try this out again. Rick. Okay, we got closer. Let me see what we got in here. Okay, yeah, we're getting into the body now. All right, cool. So let's try this out. Say var id equals request.params.id, and then we'll do model.remove. We'll say id is equal to id function error and a resource. We'll say if there's an error, return response.send error, else response.send I don't know, resource, I guess. Let me close these off with semicolons. Let's try this out again. And let's delete this human. Okay, I deleted it. Let's refresh this. Okay, we only have 2 humans left. Delete Theo. And awesome, so we could do that. And again, I don't have the full single page application feel yet. We could, you know, mutate the array with a splice if we wanted to. Okay, so we've implemented 2. We've implemented create, read, delete. We're not going to do update, but we can do like a specific page for each human real quick. So we can do router.get /human/id. This is the last route we'll build. Function request and response. And what we'll say is we'll do model dot. First, let's create our ID in here. So we'll say var id equals request.params.id. We'll do model.find by find one, and we'll do find by ID as the Mongo method, and we'll say I think it just takes the ID and then function error and a resource. We'll say if there's an error, then we'll return response.send error. Otherwise, we're going to respond with some JSON. And we will just say, what do we need to do here? We're just going to say, we're just going to respond with a page. Really, actually, no. What we want to do is, we're going to say var human is equal to the resource, and we're going to response. Come on. We're going to do response dot render detail dot EJS. I guess I don't really want to do a EJS page, but whatever. And we'll say human is equal to the human. So let me build that page out real quick. It's kind of ridiculous, but whatever. Let's go ahead and build this page. So we'll say detail.ejs. I don't know if this will work. I think it will, but let's try it out. We'll just say human.name and human.age. So in order to get this to work, we need to have a button in here. Let me just wire this up. And it's going to be view human. So let's come back into our component. And we're going to create our method called view human. And it's going to take in an ID. And so we're going to say this dot human service dot view human ID. I guess we can subscribe to this. We don't really need to, but we can do it. And we're just going to say console.log viewing human. Again, observables are used more for actually streams of data, so there's no need to do that, but what the heck, it doesn't really matter. Right, what are we missing here? Subscribe data. There we go. I think that's right. Missing after argument list view human. Subscribe data view human. I don't know where I'm missing the. Anyways, let's go into our service and let's create this called view human, and it's going to take in an ID. And we're going to return this .http.get/API/humans plus the ID, and let's go ahead and map this response to JSON. Response.json, and make sure we go back here. All right, start this up again. Where am I missing it? I don't understand. Oh, in our actual API. So let me come back in here. All right. Some technical difficulties. All right. Close that off. And now, so our last thing we will be doing is found that, and responding with the detail and the human. So let's actually see if this even works. I don't know if it will. Let's see. View human. What does that work? Cannot get /APIs. Status text not found. API humans. Host API humans. Get RID equals request.params.rd. API humans. Why is it calling that? Not fine. Let me try and put it above this route real quick. Let me console.log. Getting a human. And let me run this again. So let's view it. Say it's not actually running it. Let's go back to human component, view human. And this is called, there's a lot of stuff going on. So let's go into, let's track this down. So human.html calls view human with the human.id. All right. And so that goes into the human component, and it's just say in component with plus ID. Let me try and see if we're getting in there. What the heck? Okay, so let's see. View human in component with the ID, and then so status get headers is headers. So it's in the component. It's view human ID. I don't think we need to subscribe to anything though. All right, and all right, let me try this one more time. If not, we can do a follow-up video. Let's say view human. Just in the component. Okay, no errors that time. All right, and then let's see. It's going into the human service. So let's go in there. View human. Console.log in human service plus ID. Let's see what this gives us. Refresh this. All right, so viewing it in human service, so it's making it all the way to the service, and it's returning this .http.get app/human plus ID. That's what we need. Human ID request.params.id, and let's try it one more time. So let's view the human. So it's in human service. Oh, that's weird. Get/human API/human human service empty service UI/human humans. confused why it's not making it that far. It's getting there, and then it's console.log made it to else. Yeah, that's weird. Router.get /human /id. Not entirely sure why it's not. Human. HTTP get .NET response response.json /human. Hold up, find by ID function. Get API human. Let me see what it. Let me just see real quick. API /humans. Cannot get /router.get. Oh, I think I know. So this should be /humans, and then this needs to change to humans. That could be messing up. Let me try and fix that now. Humans. Yeah, it's still not. Huh. Alright, we're gonna do one more thing then. If I can't get this to work, I'll follow it up with a new video. But it's viewing the human by the human ID, and then we can do specific, and then we'll just say, so in here, specific human name to be a string. We'll just make it a string, and specific human age is going to be a number. It's kind of a hack, but so we're viewing it, and then we are subscribing to the data that comes back. And what we're going to do is we're going to say specific. I'm going to say this dot specific human age is equal to data dot age, and this dot specific human name is equal to data dot name. And then in here we're going to say specific human age, specific human name. I don't know. This is probably going to fail. Let me see. Let's view it, and it crashes because resource is not defined. Crap. Return response.send for human. Getting a human. Resource is not defined for human. Resource. That's what it is, huh? Okay. View human. And what does it say now? Failed to look up view details. Okay. I think I got this now. This needs to go in the actual views. So let's try this one last time, guys. It's pretty embarrassing. Let's view the human. Made it to else. It's getting humans, and it's not actually sending it there. Stop redirect. I don't know why it's not erroring, so I'm not really sure why. Yeah, that's weird. API response.render. Let's just respond with some JSON at this point, guys. Humans. Let's just see. Okay, yeah, so there you go. That actually works. View human 25 James. So let's try this out with Theo and 40. Let's add this human. And let's click view human. Right, it's not gonna work that time. If we refresh it, view human, 40 Theo, 25, so we can switch back and forth between a specific human. We can delete our humans, and we can view our human, and we can obviously add a human, Rick, and 23. And we can view. It's going to be a cast the first time because we don't actually have the data. But after that, we can switch back and forth. All right, guys, so pretty intensive tutorial. Definitely not as strong with Angular 2 yet. A lot of that was pretty brutal and pretty raw coding, but that's the way you learn. I think I learned a lot just from doing this and going through it. Yeah, I referenced the GitHub application a few times, but honestly, if anyone can build out an application using this amount of technologies, you're pretty good at what you do. And keep up the good work, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Make sure to like, comment, and please subscribe and support the channel. It means a lot. So thanks for watching, guys, and have a great day. Take care.